do not step away from this video, because what I have to share with you today is the most important video I've ever done. I am about to share with you the most powerful healing device that is available on our beautiful planet at this time. It is breathtaking. It is groundbreaking. And I mean that. And I think after you watch this podcast, you will understand why I make these kinds of very big claims. I am joined by my co-host, Monica Goos, and I'm going to pull up now to the stage the gentleman responsible for this incredible technology. Gary Kiss, welcome, welcome, welcome to this episode of the Body Harmonix Podcast. Gary, in the beginning there was light. Share.
Well, that's not just a saying. I think I have to start where the science left off. And where science leaves off, I'm going to start there and go beyond. So we can really understand the importance or the magnitude of biophotonic light. And I'm not talking about simulated light. I'm talking about the light that comes through the sun. So at the time of conception, when the sperm meets the egg, the scientist has documented there's a explosion that happened, and they attribute that explosion to zinc. It's a zinc explosion. But before that, there's a ball of light that comes in, and they cannot tell you what that ball of light is. I'm going to tell you what that ball of light is, and that's where science stops and we speak about the next level. So, that ball of light is the original biophoton, which comes from our creator. And that original biophoton contains all of your codes. And when I say codes, I'm not just talking about any codes. This contains all of the intelligence, the codes, the instructions that's going to be imparted into your stem cells, which gives the intelligence and the instructions. It's also that original biophoton that's carrying the soul. So that means we have a soul, or part of our soul is contained in every single one of our cells. That light, when the X chromosome and the Y chromosome splits, that biophoton bounces between those chromosomes, creating stem cells. It's called differentiation of stem cells. And those stem cells starts to build out and it starts to replicate and multiply. But guys, it's the light that is responsible for triggering every single biochemical process in the body. And we know our creator is of light, because if we were to take the sun away, we will all drop down. All of creator's creation would not be here. So I wanted to start with that because it's very important to come back to the fundamentals, because we oftentimes overlook this aspect of things. So I really wanted to point this out to show the importance, and this is why light affects our cells. This is why you see people are doing a lot of red light therapies or photobiomodulation therapies or some type of light therapy. These are great. It does produce a chemical reaction. But I am not talking about that light. I am talking about the particles of light that actually triggers photosynthesis in plants. I'm talking about the particle of light that actually triggers every single biochemical process in the body and in the brain. The light that builds out your auric field. That's the light I'm talking about.
Okay. These are huge, huge statements. How did you get into this? How did you discover this? Share with us, like, where did you start with?
Yeah, I'm going to reverse engineer that question is how did this get into me? Um, and this level of information cannot come from the intellectual mind. Um, it cannot come from there. It has to come from something within when, you think hard enough, or there are things in your life that prompts you to ask larger questions. And actually, I started when I was in stem cell research, and I was doing live blood cell microscopy. I saw something very clear, undeniable. Everyone knows this in the world of blood cell microscopy and biology, right? Um, Healthy cells are beautiful and circular, and it has a beautiful halo of light around the cell.
Mm-hmm.
Unhealthy cells are abnormally shaped, and there is much less light around it. And I had to ask myself, what does the light have to do with any of this? So these were the questions that were already brewing in my mind. And thankfully, I was not as educated as a Harvard microbiologist. Thankfully, I was not as educated as the MDs. Thankfully, I was not as educated as the expert, because it kept my mind open
Right.
to receive information without discrediting what was coming to me. And then that's part one. The other part to that is I was living on the beach, um, living the bachelor life. Everything was great in my life, materialistically speaking. But every time I came home, I felt a void inside of me, a sense of emptiness. And no matter what I did on the outside, it didn't take care of what I was feeling kind of in the heart center, to be quite, if I were to identify it. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the whole shutdown happened in the time of the pandemic. And the worst thing could ever happen to me, I had to live with myself. it was it was pretty scary, you know. And that void just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, I stumbled across some videos online, and it's like, turn on YouTube, and then there's these videos talking about meditation and, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'm like, how does this thing even know to these algorithms knows? Is it reading my mind? You know, that's a different podcast.
Different story.
Um, anyway, I started doing that, and little by little, I felt that void chipping away, and it was actually working. I was like, okay, all right, I get it. There's nothing I could do on the outside to cover up what's going on the inside. I need to go inside to start working what's going on the inside. That's when it clicked. Like, wow, these guys are right. These crazy mystic guys are right. you know, and I started doing that. I started feeling better and better and better, and then I started really feeling the urge. Gary, go to the mountains, go to the mountains, go to the mountains. Now, mind you guys, I am coming from a very successful medical background, doing medical regenerative consulting. I'm dealing with very doctors who are rooted in medicine, and I'm like, oh shoot, I am going crazy. I'm going I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy, but I'm going to the mountains. And I did. I got this place really high up. I even remember the name of that Airbnb is called Altitude Adjustment, somewhere in the Carolinas, and it was like 5,500 feet up. And you wake up in the morning, the clouds were underneath you. It was so majestic. And there's this one rock at the edge of the mountain. And that morning I woke up, I'm like, it almost looked like you could step off the rock onto the cloud. That's how it was. And something just came over me. And let me back up for a second. I was so disturbed because there was so many polarities happening, right? We all know that in this time there were polarities, people dividing with their families, dividing with their friends, all over belief systems.
Right.
So being the social guy that I was, it was really bothering because I had no one to hang out with anymore. Like, shoot, I can't even talk to my cousin who I grew up with all of my life, who's like, a sister to me. And this was, I'm like, yeah, now she's mad because I believe in this and they believe in that. And I'm in
Ah,
the medical field and you're a mailman and you're working in administrative work, but you're telling me things that are of high medical nature. Okay, I guess you know more than I do. No, it was like so disturbing to me. But anyway, I started asking for help at the top of my lungs to the point where I was like, whatever is going on, please stop, just help, just help, just help. But I never used the words help me. I said, please help mankind, whatever the hell is going on. I am asking for help from mankind, and I'm so fed up. I'm to the point where use me, use me. I don't care what you have to do. Use me. I said that, and voltages of energy was coming through my body. Now I really thought I have to check myself into a mental institution. Really. And during that process, I was getting certain feelings because I'm more of a feeling with my intuition, and I have a little bit of vision. And I started seeing, it was showing me like a cell phone, right? And you're scrolling through 50 pages and you click accept. Like all of these, you download an app, you don't read the 50 pages, you just go to the end and accept, right? And the only way you can get access to the beautiful benefits of that app is if you accept all of the terms. Well, we've been doing what it's been showing is we've been doing that for a very long time. And every time we do that, it chips away part of our free will. It
yes.
chips away part of our connection with our higher state, right? And it really started to affect general consciousness because the chaos is in general consciousness. So anyway, I go through this experience and I'm like trembling and I come back to the house and I'm looking at my son who then was probably like around 10, 11, and I'm like, he was younger than that. Okay, Gary, what is, I really thought I was going off of my rocks mentally, but I still felt fine and it's not like, anyway, I came back home and everything changed. Everything changed. Everything in my life changed within a matter of hours, and I couldn't see things. It's like that 80s music video where he puts the glasses on and he sees everything and he takes it off and he sees it differently. Like I
That's
swear,
like,
yes, it felt really like that. I'm like, I don't see things differently anymore. I don't see situations differently anymore. I don't see people differently anymore. I don't see this world. I I mean the same anymore. I don't see this world in the same lens anymore. Why? But it wasn't an outside thing. I knew I had to go inside.
mhm,
And I was kind of in between. I'm airing out my personal stuff here because I want people to know, like, it's you got to share the personal. And I wasn't in a relationship, but I was in a very toxic in between place between the mother of my son and myself.
mhm,
And I just had to, basically, everyone in my life, I had to cut the cords
mhm,
because I started realizing where was my energy going? Where are my thoughts during the day? Where is my energy going? And when I started identifying those things and I started cut by bringing the awareness to it, different types of information was coming to me.
yes.
Different types. So some months go by and I'm there and I'm like, all right, I need a good woman in my life. I need a woman who, I want the impossible. I was like, I want the impossible. So I asked for the impossible, and she showed up. And you just shouldn't show up in the form of a girlfriend or this. That. I really needed help, and I asked for help. And I wanted to get rid of certain things from my. I knew how to get rid of things from my current life or my current situations, but there are things that I was not aware of that I was repeating because it was passed down through lineages into my DNA.
Mhm,
That's a different level of work.
mhm,
And many people claim that they can do into work with DNA. No, I'll tell you this right now. That's a myth. There's probably a handful of people that can do that, and I found one of them. And this woman did some work for me in my DNA to, I would say, turn certain switches on and turn certain switches off. And in the middle of that session, she says, "What did you ask for?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what do I ask for?" She's like, "Yeah, you asked for something." I'm like, "Listen, I don't know what you're talking about." She's like, "Okay, let me get specific. You yelled and asked for something." My jaws dropped. I'm like, "How do you know that?" I was by myself on the mountain. She's like, "Because there's a whole bunch of light and entities and things there waiting to come through.
Oh,
You need to give a conscious yes, because they have a lot of work for you to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, I asked for it. I meant it. I really meant it." Well, that woman was Tasia Shine. And then after days of meditation, she calls me up and she's like, "I don't know what you did, but they're involving me." And, and because she's one of the structures. Taya is an alien. She's very beautiful. She's a beautiful. I tell her this all the time. I don't hide this stuff. And even her body structure is not internally. She has probably the most amount of silica structures in her body than most people. So she's extremely conductive,
right.
extremely conductive. And this has run into lineages into her bloodline.
Wow.
So anyway, she started telling me all these things, and she wrote a 24-page report about me in my DNA. It was so accurate. It was so crazy. This was not done by a computer. It was done by her. It almost like she handed me the blueprint to myself. And anyway, that started coming through. This information started coming through to her in her meditative states, and they're saying, "Okay, through Gary. Gary was the bridge. Now you're the conductor."
Ah,
And she said, "Well, if I don't, if I basically decline, right? Because we have free will. If I basically decline to accept this, how long would it take for someone else to come along?" Because they explained to her how important the technology was. They said it'll take in human years a minimum of about 40 years in human time. She's like, "Okay, we don't have that time. I guess I'll do it." So anyway, she starts to get all the information, like a lot of information, a lot of downloads, like 3 years worth of downloads. And it was stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of paper and codes and mathematical things and, how to design what's in the center. And that happened. And then, long story short, we created the first biophoton. When we created and received it, we opened the box, we looked at each other, and you know what we said to each other? We are so bullshitting ourselves. Like, what is going on? We are bullshitting ourselves. So, we hold it, we feel the energy, but it's us. Maybe we're biased. Took it to my mom. I didn't tell her anything. So we go to my mom's house and put it in the hands of my mom, and she just goes like that. She was gone. And then she opens her eyes and she looks at Taya and I, and she's like, "You guys smelling that? Like, what? You smelling roses? Like, really strong red roses?" I'm like, "No." She goes back in again, and then I see tears coming down her eyes. And then she came out after like 10 minutes. I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "I saw her sister just passed 2 weeks prior." And she said she saw her sister next to her, levitating, telling her that she's just fine. And the roses she was smelling were the roses she smelled when she went to her funeral. Right? And I'm getting chills. So
Me too.
um, that was the first experience to see that outside of us, and then we knew. Uh-huh. And then me with the background of research and science, I'm like, great. I know how I'm feeling. Like, I want to know what's going on with the physiology.
Right.
Right? So let me remind you, I already had that experience with the stem cells. Like, they were prepping me. I already had that experience with the stem cells. Like, this is a biophoton. It's going to affect the stem cell. I don't know how just yet, but it's going to affect the cell. And that's when I brought in all of the big toys, all of the big microscopes and all of the fun stuff. And I started reading. And Taya drew, she actually drew on a napkin how it's going to work on the cell. And so said, so done. We saw, not only that, we saw the cells that were dying come back to life, but it actually came back to life and started multiplying into more healthy cells. So that's the long and short of it.
I'm breathless. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I mean, that is just, you know, we're in such a place in our evolution. And in order to hold these higher frequencies and help herald in this new higher frequency and the new evolution and the new human and the new earth, now it's this type of technology that we absolutely must have. And some of us agreed to come in at this point on the planet and bring it forth. So, Gary, our hearts are to you for taking on this challenge, and to Taja as well, just because we so need it. We need it. Talk to us again. You know, we need this additional biophoton, this additional light. But there are those that would say, well, all you have to do is go outside in the sun.
Yeah.
Share with me what's happened to our light. Why do we need this additional biophoton light source?
So for the ones that say all we had to do was go outside in the sun, they're absolutely right. I cannot discredit that. The problem is, but the
Here's the but.
problem is, here's the but. The problem is because we live in a world where there are so much EMFs from technology, it creates a buffer between that light coming in and your cells because it's almost filling up your cells with radiation. And that's just one aspect of it. So we're talking about EMFs. We are talking about heavy metals. Everyone has heavy metals, environmental toxins, glyphosates, too much iron in the body, which locks down the electron so it cannot release the proton to bring the energy in. And stress. What about lack of grounding? Those things will deplete your light absorption, I would say almost 70%.
Yeah, huge, huge.
Huge, huge. So when you really take all of those factors into consideration, and of course, they're spraying things in the air, right, to deflect things. It's not about to deflect it from the atmosphere. It's about what comes into the body and deflects the light from coming into the cells and the DNA.
Yes.
That's where it is. So with that understanding, you can now see that just standing up, now you will have some benefits, yes, but just standing outside, we're not getting enough because now they're telling, well, you could only stand in the sun from this time to this time before it gets harmful, from that time to that time.
Right.
It's not enough because we are under so much more bombardment of low vibrational frequencies, right? That within that little time when we get charged up, it's like we get depleted just as fast.
Right.
And I know that for a fact. Yeah, I know this for a fact because before uh before the world became like this, after the pandemic, I would do a chakra energy meditation and tune up all of my chakras, and I felt massive amounts of clarity and energy all day. After pandemic, post pandemic, when I did that, I almost had to do the same thing 5 times a day to accomplish the same result. So people can now see and through that, like, oh wow, this is really affecting the biofield. And people are like, well, people, it's important to understand this, guys. We all have every living thing has a biofield, right? This is our first line of defense, not our immune system. Our biofield is the first line of defense, right? That's what truly protects you against airborne attacks energetic attacks and pathogenic attacks, because that biofield is directly correlated to when light comes in from the atmosphere and you absorb it. It comes through your skin and through your eyes, and then goes down into the layers of the cells, into the DNA. Hopefully, it gets there. It creates a vibration. It's a vibration of the DNA in the cells that creates the physical body and the biofield. That's
Wow.
how it's there.
Wow.
So therefore, this is why you can have all these biofield technologies measuring the biofield. And if there's a weak spot in the biofield on the outside of the right shoulder, that means you have something going on with your physical right shoulder, because you cannot separate the energetic body from the physical body.
Right.
Right? So now we know, if you the light creates vibration, more light creates higher vibration. So this is why we cannot get the the benefits of the sun in the way that our grandparents or our great grandparents used to. And if you really think about it, guys, if you read these stories from people from a couple hundred years ago, 300, 400, 500 years ago, just not that far back, right? Didn't Doesn't it seem like everyone's kind of more connected to spiritual connection? It was like a norm,
Hmm. Yeah,
you
and
know?
I just would like to add here, I have had a really powerful experience of this lack of absorption. I spend a lot of time swimming in a lake here, and I don't use sunscreen. I haven't used it in probably over 15, 20 years. And I used to have to wear a hat, and I'd get real dark brown within, the first 4 or 5 weeks of I haven't been able to get any color this year, just a barely tiny bit. And I used to go at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon to make sure that the no sunscreen thing was okay. And now I'm going in the middle of the afternoon, full strong sun. I'm getting nothing. So for me, that is proof positive that something has changed, something is different, and I'm not receiving the benefit of the natural biophotons from the sun. And I truly believe that that is why this has come to us, because
Yeah.
it's giving us back what was taken away from us without our consent, in my opinion.
You are so spot on correct. And these beautiful biophotons, they are a source. So there's something called sources and resources. Your sources are what you're innately born with, right? And your resources is what fuels that, right? So let's say, for example, your car is the source and the gas is the resource. So let's say you have this beautiful brand new car. You have this Ferrari. You put 87 gas in the Ferrari. Would it still drive? Yes, it would. But over time, you'll start chipping away from the sources of that beautiful Ferrari. In the same way, this is how our bodies and our energy systems work. And a lot of people, and great, I'm not knocking anything out there, but I do have to draw the differentiation, the separation. There's no batteries or plugs or anything to this, which means it is a source, because it's always harnessing and emitting, right? And it's not drawing from your anything that you have to plug in from the outside will work, and it will plateau, because it will only penetrate so far. And then it could even start to have a negative effect after having a positive. In the same, and it's the same way. Peptides works the same way. Stem cells works the same way. Vitamins and nutraceuticals works the same way. You can only take so much and get so many benefits. Only. But the
Yes.
reason why these works all the time is because we have 1,000 biophotons in every strand of DNA, and we have 93 trillion strands of DNA. So this is actually putting and activating the light from the inside. It's not bringing an extraneous vibration from the outside, and it's a natural particle of light. So
Absolutely. And that
that's
means
the
we
main
are
difference.
light. We
We are
are light.
light. We're like,
And
we got
when our light
90%.
dims and we can't get it, it's that battery is almost out of charge. And when the
Yes,
battery is almost out of charge, your frequency is down. And then what happens?
that's it. You
It will
know,
train and find all the things around in the biofield at that lower vibration to bring in. So, Gary, one of the things I've heard you talk about that absolutely flipped me out. Tell me about your experience then as you were working with this on parasites.
oh my gosh, that's what flipped me out,
Yeah.
Renee. So it, you have to be open. Like my thing when I go and I do something, most importantly, I need to set my intentions. Okay, keep your mind open. Don't just focus on what you see. Look at the other parts.
Mhm.
So I'm doing this live blood cell microscopy, and there's multiple experts around me. And so one woman came in, and health, should be healthy, I would say. Stay-at-home mom, vegan, doesn't eat anything raw to get those type of parasites. Married to the same person, and she was very sick, very sick. But the symptomology wasn't matching up with the blood work, right? And that happens, I think, to a considerable amount of people. And it's like the doctors were telling her, oh, it's psychosomatic. And I was like,
Ah,
yeah, don't you want to just do that? And
ah,
I'm like, okay, all right, we got to figure this out. So we take, long story short, we took we took a blood smear. At first glance under the microscope, everything looks kind of proportional to the test, right? After 15 minutes, when that light started penetrating into that cell, I could not believe the critters that were coming out from inside of the cell, hence the reason why the tests weren't picking it up because it wasn't detecting intracellularly. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at those things coming out of there. What is that? And so I started asking my Harvard guys. I'm like, "What's that? You're a double major microbiology. Talk to me. What's going on there?" Well, that's this type of parasite. This parasite is this. Candida. Hold on. Aren't you a vegan? Don't you eat healthy? Don't you have one man on your life, stay at home mom? Like you're like the closest thing to Mother Mary. Like what's going on? How do you have all of that? How do you have those type of pathogens in your blood? It doesn't make sense. Someone is lying to me. And her friend was like, no, and I know her friend very well. She's like, no, no, she is what she says she is. Oh, what do you do? Well, besides a stay-at-home mom, I'm a healer. Holy crap, the light bulb started.
ding.
That was the moment right there. Everything started connecting. I was like, oh my gosh, all right, something is happening. Because I was working with another doctor who treated a lot of Lyme and Bartonella. He's one of the best if not the best in the world. And that guy had to close his practice down from treating sick patients. Yeah. So that came to my mind. I'm like, holy crap, this thing is transferring through the biofield.
Yes.
And that, when I saw that, and I started asking her, hey, tell me the demographic of your patients. How long you been? I've been doing this for 10 years. Tell me the demographics of your patients. She's like, well, these are mainly sick people that has kind of given up on medicine and it's not helping and they're looking for something alternative. And oh, this one has that, this one has that, this one has that. I'm like, well, guess what? You have 75% of all of that in your blood.
Wow.
She's like, well, how is that possible? I'm like, I'll tell you. I was like, your energy was here. Their energy is here. As time went by and you started doing healing and you jumped from one client to the next client to the next client, basically you're saying, give me $50, I'll take your bad energy, I'll give you some good energy. It's always an exchange. It doesn't disappear. Every time you did that, you just coming down, down, depleting your sources, depleting your sources, depleting your sources, depleting your sources, Oh, look at what happened here. Resonance. Now you're vibrating on the same level of that biofield, of that parasite. And now, because the parasites, a lot of them are always airborne. The viruses are always airborne, right? And when you dropped your biofuel level to their biofuel level, it was able to enter into you, right? some of them, the airborne ones works like that. It was able to enter into you. And as time went by and you kept on depleting, I don't know how you got the rest of them, but I could account for a lot of them here, right? So it was really interesting. And even right there on the spot, just being around the biophoton, she started detoxing.
Of course.
She started detoxing. She felt like crap. And it was really interesting. I'm like, okay, so this stuff is coming through the biofield. It's entering through the biofield. It's not entering through the skin. It's entering through the biofield. Right?
Wow.
And then I was like, hold on. How are these things so intelligent? Where is it getting its intelligence from? Because it's not getting it from us. It's not part of us. And why did it die when we put the biophoton next to it? Which meant those things were dying because there's too much light and it increased the vibrational frequency of the cell. The cell started, coming back to normal, back online, normal function again. And then the parasites couldn't live in that light vibrational frequency, that light frequency, or that particle of light that created the elevation of the frequency, right? So the parasites died, which meant those parasites or pathogens died in acidic, lack of oxygen, lack of light environment. So it basically thrived in the environment we die in, which told me that is not of our creator. That came from another source of a much lower vibrational frequency because it couldn't survive in our source.
Right.
That's when it went off for me. That's when the bulbs went off for me, guys.
Wow. So now you recognize this. Wow. And I get like speechless. I don't even know what to say. It's so huge. The implications of this technology are just so huge. The implications of why we need it, why we must have it, of course, actual technology that harnesses, and that it came in now when we need it most. Share with me now the actual device. I know Monica has one, you might have one too. Just, it's absolutely magnificent, even just to see it. So there are a few. Go ahead, Gary. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm just showing as you're talking.
And Monica, you have one as well. I know you have more than one, but that's called the Sky. Monica's muted. She'll unmute yourself. Gonna unmute you, Monica. So
Oops. Oh my God.
It's okay.
This is the Sky.
Ooh, even putting it up on the screen, I could feel the energy really multiplying as we both combine forces.
And then there's the little guys, the matter.
So Gary, explain what we're seeing here.
What you're seeing here is the Sky, all right? Let's call it Eluumis Sky. And this one is designed to do the deep work. This one is designed to go to the root of the issue. So if someone has something that's kind of bubbling up, let's say there's a lot of stuck emotions or a lot of trauma in the cell. Trauma is stored in the cell. There's different layers of trauma. Trauma starts from the mind, and then if we don't process it, we don't take care of it, it goes to the subconscious mind. If we don't take care of it there, it goes to cellular memory. If we don't take care of it there, it goes to the DNA, and then it passes over to the next generation. So that's the different layers of memory. Mm-hmm. This starts to work on the root of those layers, layer by layer by layer, intelligently, so it's not overpowering your system. This is programmed to be 10 to 15% higher than your personal vibrational frequency. So it's slowly growing you. Wow. Slowly growing your frequency.
That is so, I'm just going to put a push from them. That is so powerful, because those of us who have been in the healing field, I'll just call it, or doing our own cleansing, detoxing, that overwhelm of detox can be so, I mean, it can be scary. It can even, in extreme, be life threatening. And it can stop us from going, I really want to do it, but oh man, I just don't know if I can handle the herxing, which is, what we call like the overwhelm. And so they've been purposefully programmed to only go no higher, 10 to 15%. So it's super powerful and yet intelligent and gentle. Super big to think about.
Yes, and protective.
Protect.
At all the times doing that, it's protecting your biofield from any harmful energetic frequencies or chords or parasitic frequencies, right? So that protective component, this is truly in the role, it's a healer's best friend. I mean, it really is a healer's companion. So just for that component alone to protect your biofield, there are many technologies out there that protects the biofield through harmonizing frequencies or blocking frequencies. You can't do that all the time. It doesn't work. The best way, it works to some degree, I would say that. All right, I have to give some things credit. The best way to protect yourself is by increasing your internal light, which in turn increases your vibration. Period.
Go inside, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Wow, just so powerful. It's beautiful. And Monica, I know that you've had this now for a short period of time and have had and seen some just really interesting, sacred responses. So
Yeah.
share.
Absolutely. Probably the most powerful one was I have a friend who she's got really bad scoliosis. So she's, chronic pain has been a part of her life. And she had an opportunity to sit with my device. And actually she started, I think, about 24 minutes with the little ones, and the little ones work on whatever is happening in the moment, your condition in the moment. And she sat with those for about that. And then she sat with Sky for about another 10 minutes. So not real long with Sky. And afterwards, she told me, like the next day, that it was the first time she had felt normal since she couldn't remember when. So to me, that's huge. And by the way, I believe her Sky is arriving today or yesterday. She got her Sky yesterday because she was like, yeah, I got to have one. So she got this. And she says now the two little ones are calling to her. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, it's been very powerful. It's been very powerful to have this technology in the house. And it certainly has given benefits to both me and my partner. So I'm excited to have them here, and I'm really actually thrilled to be a part of bringing this to the world, because this is what I've always had, that desire as well. It's like things are not going well here, and it's time to increase the light. And I'm so grateful, Gary, to you and Taya for your commitment to this. And I'd love it if you would talk about the biostream just a little bit, to give us we're going to do a whole nother segment just on the biostream, but these are going to be very rare, and they're not real, it's an investment to get something like this, right? And so the biostream was actually created so that it would be available to everyone in the world who has access to a device and a stable internet connection, and it's affordable for just about everyone. So I just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, this isn't going to be something that everyone can get, but everyone can receive the benefit of the biostream. So maybe just wanted to bring that up, and we will do a whole nother podcast just on that.
Yes, I think Monica pretty much told us.
Yes.
and Yes, and we'll save some of the really good juicy parts of the bio stream for that, because we want you all to check back in, because this conversation about biophotons and the light is a really big, it's probably one of the most important conversations that we can have now. There is this sounds really dramatic, but I'm going to use this term anyway. There really is a war on our light, because to keep our light down. And now that Gary's done such a beautiful job explaining, we are light. We are light bodies. And everything in our world is light. Look at the plants, the food, just everything. We have to have this light. And as it dims and dims, so does our intelligence, our connection to our source. Everything dims. So this technology is so huge. And Gary, before we end this particular podcast, before we came on, you really wanted to make sure that we mention the testing. So I can just see so many people coming on, listening to this and going, "Oh my God, that sounds amazing, but how do I know that this really is some biophoton? Like, how am I going to really know?"
That is an excellent point. Well, there are those like myself. I was not anymore, but I was that guy where I feel something, I see the differences in myself, but I still want to see the evidence.
See the evidence. And for people who don't feel, some people don't
and
feel, they're not
yeah,
somatic, right?
yeah, and it's okay because, like I said, I completely get it. So it's important to show the physical physiological evidence, because sometimes when you know something is working in a certain way, it works better. I always say, if you're taking a vitamin and you actually read how this vitamin affects your biochemical processes, it works better as opposed to taking it blindly,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't do it to prove anything, because I already know what we did, but I did it to really show guys, this is something that is actually working. I call it the quantum stem cell. This is something that's actually working just like regenerative medicine, because it is. And we have tested this using the world's most advanced biofield measurement technology, which is a biowell device. We've also tested it using HRV and heart brain coherence devices, and you cannot come out of coherence while holding this. It's crazy.
Wow,
So
that's fascinating for
it's
all you
very,
Joe
very
Dispenza and heart math people.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. So it we there was like over 50 energetic systems energetic systems, meaning the energetic output of the liver, the energetic output of the heart, the energetic output of a certain organ system, the energetic output of the biofield, and the alignment of the chakras, right? So it tested so many things, energetically and on a physical level of the organ systems. And it was over 50 systems that increased by over 50%.
Wow.
Not even a stem cell can do that.
Wow. And how long were they exposed?
20 minutes
20 minutes.
to the biohealing stream. They were exposed for
Wow.
20 minutes on Zoom using the biohealing stream. And they did it one time a week for 4 weeks. And this was about 24 or 25 people. So we have, and this is by a third party company, and they were the ones that came back and said, we've been on for over a decade. We've tested almost everything on the market. And the difference is, they said, everything in the market has to be plugged in or powered either by a battery or plugged into to the wall, right? So for something that doesn't have to be plugged in, that's producing this amount of results, widespread multi-systemic results. And I said, look, I made a joke and I said, look, guys, the technologies I've used before this, and I would call it the Ferrari of technologies. Like, wow, if that's a Ferrari, what are you? I'm like, I'm the spaceship. I don't need the gas. I don't need gas, right? I am the I'm the source. We are the source. This is the source. So that's the difference, you know?
Wow, Gary. Okay, so you all, now you know why I was so adamant for you to watch this whole video, because this is it. This is what we need. That's what we need individually. It's what we need collectively as a consciousness. It's what we need to give to the earth. And so, to respect everyone's time, we're going to stop this podcast. But please look for our part 2, where we talk more about the actual biohealing stream. Gary and Monica, thank you so much for joining me today. And in the meantime, move freely, heal deeply, and flow with ease.
Mhm. And we will have some links for you to get the BioStream, to at least have access to that as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.